Well, let us begin. Welcome. I'm Gary Cadenhead. I'm the director of the MSTC program. Vanessa Manley here is our marketing coordinator, and David is sitting over there in the green shirt, and David will speak to you later. David is in the current class of the program. They are nearing completion of the second semester, so he's just a little over one semester away from graduating in May. Okay, here's the mission statement. I'm going to make some assertions to you here that technology commercialization is incredibly important to competitive advantage and to wealth creation. In the United States, we really lead the world in the quality of our innovation. And that primarily comes from our research universities and from federal laboratories. You know, think Los Alamos or NASA or any of the ones you want to name, Sandia. We're getting absolutely first-class technologies developed by our faculty and scientists.
Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The mission of our program is to develop professionals who can commercialize these technologies. That's what we're about. This is a very focused, coherent program. It's not a buffet of courses, if you will. We're all focused on that process of going from idea or technology all the way to market. The program was founded by George Kosmetsky. George was a legendary figure around here. He died about 5 years ago. He made his initial fortune by being one of the founders of Teledyne. After he did that, back in the mid-60s, he came to the University of Texas as Dean of the Business School, and he served in that capacity for some 20 years. He was the one that really put us on the map. In the 1960s, the University of Texas Business School was a good place to become an accountant. We had an outstanding accounting program. We did not have a general MBA program. And George Kosmetsky said, it's going to be a first-class business school. He established the MBA program and directed it to the excellence it is today. Sometime in the 80s, when Michael Dell was across the street in the dorm and told his parents that he was dropping out of school, George got a call from Michael's father, the doctor, and said, I don't know what my crazy son is doing, but would you please help him out? And so George said he would. George went on the board of Dell and was the one that recruited the board members that you probably know that were quite famous. He also brought in a fellow by the name of Lee Walker to be president of Dell from about revenues of $500 million up to $1 billion, and was told, Lee, you make the decisions. Michael, you follow Lee around and tell Michael why you made the decisions you did. So it was really on-the-job training as president of Dell. He's also generally considered the architect of the Austin Miracle. If you go back as recently as the late 80s, Austin was still essentially the capital and the university, and the Texas economy was based on oil, and the goal was to make it a third leg of the stool, be the high-tech community, and George led that charge. Okay, if we look at what is the essence of this program, I would suggest to you the first skill you learn, and you literally learn this first semester, is to evaluate whether a new technology has market potential or not. We have a proprietary methodology called Quick Looks that the students apply to different technologies 3 different times first semester. By the time they've done it 3 times, it has become a skill that they have. The second is learning how to bring these new technologies that have potential to the marketplace in the form of new products. And all of this is done with the goal to create wealth in the process. Wealth for the community, wealth for the company, wealth for the entrepreneur. There are 3 types of folks for whom this program fits very well. The first is aspiring entrepreneurs. Typically, they come into the program wanting to know how to find technologies that have market potential, and once they find them, how to take them to market through a new venture, the classic entrepreneurial process. The second is what some people call corporate entrepreneurs or corporate entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. Sometimes that's more of a word that's used in the academic world than generally, but within a corporation based on technology, think IBM, think National Oilwell Varco, think Dell, there are folks, typically engineers, that are involved in new product development. And we get those people coming into the program because they want to get more skilled in identifying technologies with potential and learning how to bring them to market through their existing products, making improvements through new products. The third category is what I refer to as technology transfer specialists or professionals. Every major research university like ours has an Office of Technology Commercialization. All the federal labs have one. The purpose of the OTC, as they're typically called, is to find out what technologies are being developed within the entity, start those to being patented, protect the intellectual property, then to find businesses outside the university or the lab who could take this to market. So they're like technology brokers, if you will, interfacing both with the scientists and with the businesses that will take them to market. Quick overview. Again, the focus is on the how-to of creating wealth. It's designed for working professionals. What we mean by that is it's a weekend program. Classes literally start at 4 o'clock on Friday, and then Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, and that's on alternating weekends. So you could work full-time and conceivably only miss an hour or 2 on Friday. Okay? It is a 1-year program. We will start May 2nd. You would receive your degree, I think it's May 19th the following year. So we get it all done in 3 consecutive semesters. There are 2 ways you can take the program. We have a dedicated classroom over at McCombs. That's the way most people do it. We also broadcast over the internet, and the online students can be seen on a screen and heard in the classroom. We are following a very different route than a lot of the online universities. Our goal is to bring our online students into the classroom. And it's quite possible that, just as I could call on you if you were in the class, I can call on George as I see him up here on the internet. And that's how we want it to work. And we have students all around the country and sometimes outside the U.S. In the current class, there's a young woman from Korea. First semester, she was online. Second semester, she's come here. She will be here again next semester, and then she will go back to Korea. So you have those choices. Typically, there will be some weekends that even if you're an in-class student, you have to travel on your job, and you will have to leave. In that case, if you can, you watch it live from your hotel room, and if you can't, you see an archived version on Sunday or Monday. So there are 3 different ways. We want our students to be actively involved in the learning process. So we don't want it to be just, Master of Science through TiVo, where you fast forward on the archive version. We begin each semester with a launch week. The first one is literally in this building, 1 floor up. We start, as I said, on May 2nd, and we will be here all week. In that first week, you will get acquainted with your classmates, you will be formed into teams, and you will have the first 2 classes of the 3 courses that you take that first semester. Come on in. This is not a theoretical program. This is a program to immediately give you knowledge and information that you can use. That doesn't mean it's not based on theory, but you're not doing this to learn some theoretical constructs. You're learning it to apply your knowledge to commercialize technologies. Literally after that first semester, you will be capable of performing quick looks. A year ago, IC Squared, which has a consulting arm, it's a think tank here on campus, they did a project with India. Part of that project was they needed to do 80 quick looks as soon as they could. Well, you can't staff up to do quick looks, right? I mean, you can't staff up for 80 people when each quick look probably takes you at least a week. So what they did was they hired our graduates and they hired our students literally to go to India for a couple weeks and do as many quick looks as they could. Some of our graduates make a decent living doing quick looks for entrepreneurs or other people with ideas that want to figure out, is this technology I think so neat really as good as I think it is? We had a guy in the class that just graduated who was a very successful banker. He enjoyed telling us that he was independently wealthy now. He had started and sold a couple banks. He said, but the last time I invested in a new venture, I lost some money. And I don't want to do that again. And so he was learning how to evaluate new technologies so he could make better investment decisions. That's what we mean by action-based. You will be learning by doing. Full service we refer to is the tuition of $46,000 covers just about everything. Like the first week is spent here in this building, it covers your hotel room and most of your meals, all of your meals actually, for that first week. We do an international trip to London. Students are responsible for airfare to get there. Most of the expenses when they're there are covered, including hotel in London.
Is there a reason why you chose London?
England has an advanced commercialization program. It's somewhat different from ours. It was one we thought we could learn from. Initially, we were going to Monterrey, Mexico, because we have a sister program down there, and the conditions in northern Mexico got such that the university was terribly nervous about our going down there, and London seemed to be a really good and in some ways better substitute than going to Monterrey.
I'm just impressed with Singapore's and Australia's.
Yeah.
New Zealand's, they've got amazing.
This is our first international program.
Okay.
And first international trip. So this is breaking ground for us. We've made some changes in the program, and in a sense, this is a little bit of a baby step in that we're going to a country where we speak somewhat the same language, and we thought that would be a good way to get started. And so we'll see. But I'm hopeful in later years we will be going to China or Singapore or someplace in Asia. Here's the curriculum. 3 terms. Each term has one course that's somewhat more important than the others. The first one is the assessing the technology that I've already talked about. This is the one in which you learn how to write a quick look. The other two courses, the quick look course is this converting technology to wealth. You also have a marketing course that focuses on products based on technology. This works, those two go really nicely together because here you're learning how to market it. In the assessing it, you're looking at the market to determine whether there is a market for the technology as you do your quick looks. The third course is combined into two elements. One is entrepreneurial finance. The other is accounting. In the next semester, when you do your business plan, you need to be able to project what your revenues and expenses are going to be, and you learn how to do it in this particular course. Come on in. Second session is about commercializing the strategies. This culminates in the business plan course, which is the art and science of market-driven entrepreneurship. This is the semester we're in now. I'm currently teaching the commercialization strategy course. This is where we get into business strategy and particularly strategy for launching a new venture and a new product. The managing product development and production course is taught by the entrepreneurship professor in engineering. So this is about how you go from idea to prototype and how you do that quickly. So these three are really well integrated. The third semester is about commercializing the plan. A business plan is about raising money from investors. The commercialization plan is who does what when to launch the product or the venture, or both. And so you have a course. This first one is the one that takes that into account. The tech transfer course, we will do a heavy dose of that. Actually, half the course will take place while we're in London. And Meg, who teaches the course, will look at the difference between, say, taking a technology out of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or England, and dig deep into that so you're comfortable doing that should you either want to export a technology to Britain or if you want to license a technology from Britain. There's a management course, and there's another course that deals with risk. Risk related to intellectual property, risk related to business ventures. Let me tell you one story that kind of introduces how this can happen. I wish I could promise it would happen every time. It may or it may not. This is our big success story. Doug Baum was in the class of 2007. He came in, same time as everybody else, did not have a technology in mind to take to market. One of his quick looks was on a drug being developed at Texas A&M. It was actually a drug that already had been approved by the FDA, but for a different application. And he thought this drug, the scientist at A&M, thought this drug would be appropriate for macular degeneration. That's a condition that as some people age, they slowly go blind. And right now, there's not a good drug for that. And the drugs that do exist don't perform well, and they're painful. I mean, we're literally talking about, injections in the eyeballs. So a very painful process to get a not very effective result. He did his quick look, he and his team did his quick look on macular degeneration, the drug, and came away thinking, if this drug does what the scientist thinks it does, it's going to be really powerful. They chose it for their business plan second semester. Their enthusiasm continued to grow, and literally before the second semester was over, they formed a corporation and licensed the technology from Texas A&M. Third semester, they were in implementation stage, right? And they raised $1.5 million from angel investors in one small venture capital firm just before they graduated. So literally their exit program out of the MSTC program was launching MacuClear. This past summer, they got an offer which they accepted to acquire MacuClear for $35 million. So a very fast path to a good outcome. Okay, I've already mentioned that you can take it in class or online. We've had students literally from around the world. In the class 2 years ago, our top student was from Portugal. And Marco just absolutely loved the interaction. It was before we had the system that we have now. So we were doing other sorts of things to get him into the classroom, and somehow he would manage to make it to Austin from Portugal about once a semester. And he was very actively involved. The class that just graduated, we had a student from Chile and one from Canada. So it varies where they come from. It's their choice, obviously, not ours. There's the profile. This is a little skewed older by the most recent class. I think we had 3 people that were right at 60, and so that skewed that average age. Normally our average age is somewhere around 35. We tend to have a few people that are in their 20s, early 20s, and a few people that are late 50s or early 60s with a big cluster in the 30s. They look a lot like you. If you want to wonder what a class looks like, it's about the normal male to female ratio, and it's about the normal age. So this is what our class typically looks like. We're not running quite a third online currently. We're a little bit lower than that, but not much. And class size is probably in the mid-40s. My goal for the coming year is to have 2 cohorts. So I would like to have 2 cohorts of this size, and they will be meeting on the same weekends but in separate rooms. So I think they're
a program of about 100.
Yeah, that's the goal. And that will be one of the values of a program like this is the interaction with your fellow students, and that'll double that benefit. And we will do lots of things together, although you'll be obviously closest with your own cohort. Okay, there's where it starts. We use a Berkman personality profile to assist us in putting individuals into teams. What tends to happen when you come into a new program and you don't know anybody and you're kind of scared and nervous, you sort of gravitate to people that are just like you. And that feels real comfortable, but it's not the best way to get a high performance team. So we try to set up the teams that first week so that you have a high performance team, and then you would stay in that team for the semester. And then at the end of the semester, you've got a choice. Some choose to stay with the team throughout the program. Others have particular areas of interest that they want to pursue, like a medical technology. And so they gravitate to other people that have the same interest. Graduation is May 19th. We do a bunch of events to keep our alumni connected with each other. And staff is busy working on the alumni conference, which comes up in a few weeks. We have a program scheduled for them. As you graduate from the program, you're actually a member of 3 different alumni associations. One is the MSTC, and that's just people who have been in the program. The second is the McCombs Alumni Association, and there's some 65,000 alumni out of McCombs, and they have all sorts of different activities, so you can choose those if you wish. If there are interest groups that you want to join, you can do that. And the third, even broader, is Texas Exes, and they likewise have a number of programs. So our graduates get to choose where they want to spend their time, or if they want to spend their time networking through an alumni association. This is a question that frequently comes up Is this one of interest to you? Anybody have an interest in how this is similar or differs from an MBA? Good. I have an MBA. I have spent most of my professional career teaching MBAs. I've been at UT for 31 years and have taught in the MBA program, the executive MBA program, the evening MBA program. So I'm intimately familiar with them. I've been director of the MSTC program. This is my 4th year. I taught in the initial year of the program, which was 96, and I've taught in it, several times since then. The main point that I want you to come away with on the difference is it's not that one is better than the other. They're both excellent. The question is, where do you want to be in 10 years or 15 years, and which of these gets you there best, easiest, most powerfully? If you said, Gary, I want to be an attorney, I would say, well, neither one of these paths gets you there, right? That's not the way to get to be an attorney. Our focus is on that early stage, determining whether technologies have market potential, and if you find some that do, how do you take them to market? The MBA is a general degree. It's a buffet of skills that you would need to be successful in corporate America. If you said, I want to be vice president of Procter & Gamble in marketing, I would say, the MSTC is not for you. You want to get in the best MBA program you can possibly get in and take all the marketing courses you can. If you said, I'm looking for an exciting new technology that I can convert into products and build a business around, this is the place. So there's that difference. They're both business degrees, but they have very different end goals, if you will. And so the question back to you is, what is your end goal and which of these best get you there? This slide, I've tried to show some of the different courses and purposes. MSTC is about creating wealth. You create that wealth in that early stage. Kosmetsky got stock options for helping Michael in that early stage. Care to guess how much Kosmetsky's wealth increased with the first IPO? Would you believe $500 million? $500 million he made off that early stage process. When you talk about the large increments in value, it comes from that early stage process. The MBA is about increasing wealth, but it's not primarily at that early stage of creating wealth. And this could be either through a new venture, or it could be through coming in and reinvigorating an existing corporation by bringing outstanding new products based on disruptive technology to market. Think about what Jobs did to Apple when he came back in. Think of the technology-based new products that he's introduced and the success he's had with them. 5 years ago, if anybody had said that Apple would have a higher market value than Microsoft, they'd have been laughed out of the room, right? Nobody expected that to happen. Focus on launching new products. So it's the early stage versus focus on the total product life cycle. Back to my Procter & Gamble cycle. If you go into marketing at Procter & Gamble, you'll probably get assigned some brands of soap to manage. And some of those may be early stage, some of them may be mature stage. And your job is to figure out how best to do that. That's the focus over there. We have a course in technology evaluation that I've gone into. That's one of the premier differences or uniquenesses of the MSTC program. Typically in an MBA program, you don't find that. About 20% of the people that'll be in the MSTC class in May have an MBA, and they're coming back to get the skills that were not covered in their MBA. Both programs have a finance course. The emphasis on MSTC is in entrepreneurial finance. How do you finance a new venture? You know, how do you deal with venture capitalists? How do you communicate with angel investors? Your corporate finance course will talk about how you do asset valuation. How do you value stocks? How do you value bonds? They each have a law course. MSTC, the emphasis is heavily on protecting your intellectual property. In the MBA program, it's more on how do you follow the rules, how do you not get sued. General management versus entrepreneurship. Any questions on what I'm saying about what the differences are?
It's kind of like a bell curve where like the MST is more like the beginning stage.
Exactly.
And then
I had a graph on that, and I don't have it in this deck, but it's that early stage where the MSTC is, and the MBA is on the total stage.
right, yes, sir.
Other questions? Okay. Some of these I have impact on, some I don't. To get in the program, you have to have a bachelor's degree. That's the University of Texas Graduate School. You don't enter the graduate school unless you got some kind of bachelor's. The GMAT and the GRE. The stated rule is you have to take that unless you have a terminal degree. A terminal degree would be probably some form of doctorate, you know, a PhD, a JD, an MD. And the rule is that your score needs to be in the last 5 years. We are working on getting that waived, and I think we're going to be successful. To me, it's a little silly to say that you have to have your GMAT or GRE within the past 5 years. I mean, you know, but my understanding of what either of those tests measures is one's ability to do graduate work, right? Well, you don't lose that ability, you know, one day after it's 5 years since you took it. Your scores on any of these goes down over time. My explanation of that is the longer it's been since you had a high school algebra, the worse you do on these. But that's a very gradual curve, and so I think any measure at any time on one of these should be sufficient. And that's what we're going to, from all of McCombs for the MBA programs and the MSTC programs. I can't tell you we will be successful yet, but I'm very optimistic, and that decision will be made reasonably soon. Rolling admissions means we don't batch them and wait till we have X number to make a decision. Once you get a completed application in, I will get you a decision sometime in the next 10 days. There is, yeah.
What's the average GMAT score for the technical?
What is what?
The average GMAT score?
Uh, It would probably be in the upper fives. At McCombs in the MBA programs, it's probably a little bit higher than that, and we have just come into McCombs, so there's some pressure on us to have a comparable. Part of the reason ours is lower is as you saw from our average age, it's higher than most MBA programs. Even the executive MBA program, probably the median age is about 34 or 35. And when we have a lot of people in their 40s and 50s and a few in their 60s, your GMAT scores or GRE scores are going to come down. But McCombs is a premier business school, and it expects its students to have high grades. High marks on the GRE and the GMAT are better than low. High GPA is better than low. If one of those two is low, I don't know about you, but I have some friends that played around while they were in college and they didn't make straight A's, and yet at some point in their lives they got serious and they took a GRE or a GMAT and they scored off the end. I was recently out recruiting at Dell and I was talking to one of their senior VPs, and he was telling me when he was in college, I think he had a 2.2. He said, I had a lot of fun, Gary. And then he went to, I think it was Emory in the executive MBA program. And in the executive MBA program, he had like a 3.95. He said, I made 1B. So, I mean, his skill came through once he was focused on doing that. So I argue very strongly that we weight these. We don't have one particular, that's what's meant by the holistic review. We're looking for somebody we think will benefit from having the MSTC degree.
You said it was a rolling 1 year. How many students apply within that rolling 1 year?
Well, it's not, we typically start recruiting in late July, and then applications are due in February. So it'll probably be, under the old format, about 100 that would apply for those positions. What's different about this program from, say, an MBA program in the application process is, you know, if you're applying to an MBA program, it would be silly not to apply to a bunch of them, right? The general game plan was you pick one out here that you don't think you got a real good chance, but you're gonna, you know, see if you can, and then you apply to several you think you're in their sweet spot, and then maybe to be safe, you apply in one that you're 90% certain you're going to be accepted to. So you apply to 4 or 5, and you go with the best one you get. For MSTC programs, there's really not a second place. You know, there are a few MSTC programs that are getting started in the country. Boston College has recently started one. RPI has started one. There's some MBAs in technology entrepreneurship, which are reasonably close. But I mean, most of our interested folks like you don't apply to any other MSTC program. So once they get to the point of deciding to apply, they're pretty sure they won't in. And if they get admitted in, they accept. We have a really high acceptance rate. We should be able to take almost everybody that's qualified this year because we're doubling the size of the program. You know, I'm going for 100 positions, not 50. So I'm optimistic we'll be able to do that. Okay, you can go to our website and it'll tell you what to do. The application fees we can refund if you complete your application before the end of the year. So that's an incentive that we're giving you to try to get the applications in, because we'd like to know where we stand before February 15th. It's also in your interest to do that because a lot of people will come in at the last, and obviously the competition for positions will go up at the end. You need to take either the GRE or the GMAT. My rule of thumb, and not everybody agrees with me, but is if you're stronger quantitatively than you are verbally, take the GMAT, and vice versa. If your verbal skills are stronger than your quantitative, go with the GRE. They are highly correlated, so it probably doesn't make much difference which one you take. We ask for a statement of purpose, a biographical sketch, 2 reference letters. The reference letters serve you best if it's by somebody that knows you. You know, if Governor Perry has heard from his good friend that your parents are great folks and he assumes you are too, that doesn't help as much as if somebody that was a professor, somebody you worked with, somebody that was your boss or your subordinate in a job you've had. So get somebody that can talk convincingly that you're a terrific person and should be admitted to the University of Texas. We ask for 2 of those. And then a current resume. Questions on any of this?
I had sat in on an interview recently for like government jobs,
Uh-huh.
and they brought up a point of fellowships, and I saw that there was one fellowship available. Now, are we as like applicants allowed to go get our own fellowship and bring it into the program?
Absolutely,
Okay.
sure. $46,000 is the tuition. I have not raised the tuition in a number of years, and I've added an international trip. So the value's gone up and the price tag has stayed flat. And I think that's very appropriate in the economy that we find ourselves in. And I'll probably do that for another year or two. You pay it over several years. It includes, as I said, almost everything. We buy the books for you. We will pass out the books in 2 weeks for the spring semester. So there's no going to the co-op to get your books. We serve breakfast Saturday morning and lunch Saturday. So your meals on the working Saturdays are covered in the program, at least breakfast and lunch. We give you 3 years membership in Texas X's. Questions? Okay, that's where you go for more information. Vanessa is available for more information. I'm available for more information. So any of us you'd like to talk to,
You don't require an interview?
we do not formally. If you want to have an interview, you're welcome to do so. And if somebody is, on some kind of borderline, I will probably initiate the call for an interview. Yes?
Is this presentation available to us? Is this something you can send or?
Sure.
That would help.
Yeah. Once you put on a card you'd like it. Not anything in here that's not on our website, but this is more condensed, so we'd be glad to share it with you.
Great, thank you.
You bet. Okay. I would now like to turn it over to David. As I said, David is in the program now, and he can tell you what he's experiencing. Normally, we bring in alumni rather than current students, but we have made major changes in the program this year that I think are critically important to you, and no better to have someone speak on it than somebody that's currently experiencing it. So, David?
All right, guys. My name is David Mortallero, and I am a current MSTC student. I just want to talk a little bit about what my background is. I'm sure it's similar to a lot of yours. What I wanted to get out of it and why I chose MSTC, and then what my current experience has been. So I can give you my email if anybody wants to email me afterwards. We can talk further. But I'm a software engineer. I received my undergraduate degree from Spring Hill College, which is in Mobile, Alabama, and I've got about 12 years software experience. In those 12 years, I've worked for 5 different startups, and only one has been successfully acquired. So the odds of our startups aren't that good, but still, I'm in that business. Recently just left that job about a month ago to start my own consulting business with my wife, and it's something that, because of MSTC, it's really given me the confidence and the knowledge to do that, so it's already been beneficial to me. So I'm probably early to midway through my career, and I needed a way to differentiate myself between all the other software engineers in Austin, Texas. So about a year ago, I started looking at MBA programs, and I looked at Baylor, I looked at UT's program, the Acton MBA, Texas State, A&M. I eventually chose St. Edward's MBA program. They had a concentration in entrepreneurship, and it was something that I was interested in. I wanted to be a startup guy. So this time last year, I went to St. Edward's, taking 2 courses. One of my professors used to be the former director of this program. And out of the blue, he just mentioned MSTC. I had never heard of it. So I went home that night and I Googled it, looked it up. It was buried, before it was in McCombs, it was buried deep, so it was hard to find. So I found it. It was exactly what I wanted to do. I sent Dr. Cadenhead an email, met with him a couple days later, came to an information session just like this. The worst part of the whole process was the GMAT, studying for it. It's something I'd never want to do again, so I'm grateful I got in because I don't know if I would ever take it again. But Dr. Cadenhead's right. It's a holistic approach. They look at everything. So college might have been not the best, or your GMAT score or GRE scores might not be the best, but you can still get in. I actually got in a conditional So if I did bad the first semester, then, but I got all A's the first semester, so anybody can get in. Not anybody, right? But don't be too intimidated about that. So I completed my semester at St. Edward's, got accepted here, withdrew from St. Edward's, and then started the program in May. I chose the program because it was exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to start a venture from the ground up, all those skills that need to be. I always wanted to have a business. It's a one-year program, and to me, that simulates what my experience in a startup has been. You work hard, you bust your butt, but you get the reward at the end, and that's what this program is about. Networking is unbelievable. The folks that I've met in the 6 months that I've been here, and the folks that I can get to because I know these people, that's worth the price of the tuition itself. And it's a master's degree from the McCombs School of Business at the University of Texas. You can't get much better than that. The other thing is collaboration. I really enjoy how we can. Every class, you're in a team environment. You're always discussing and debating. It's fantastic. All right, so here we go. My experience so far in the program. We started May 3rd for an intensive launch week here at the AT&T Center. We took the accounting course, the marketing course, and then my favorite was the commercialization course where we learned the quick look methodology, especially how you do research market potential for a technology. The technologies are readily available. My concern going into the program was I want to start a business, but I have no idea. But ideas are everywhere. The University of Texas has over 300 if you go to their OTC website. Just go through, peruse them, find one you like. And that's what we did. Our first technology was a medical imaging device technology to detect cardiovascular plaque. And I'm a software guy, so it's out of my realm of expertise. But it was so promising that we're taking it now into our second semester now, writing a business plan around it, and if things go well, plan on getting a license from UT, from the OTC, and starting a business around it. So things happen. This program will not give you any business or any venture. They'll tell you how to do it, and if you want to do it, you can do it. There's no doubt about that. So, and the biggest difference I see, because I weighed the MBA versus MSTC, like Dr. Cadenhead says, we probably have about 25% of people in our class with MBAs already. But the biggest difference is that the things that we do actually matter. Not that it actually matters, the wrong way to say it. The things we do actually, we see results quick, right? We're learning these steps, how to evaluate technology and bring it to market, and we have our technology that could become a business, And the MBA program doesn't really have, at least that St. Edward's, they didn't have the hands-on experience that this one does. So I spend about 10 to 30 hours a week outside of class, outside the classrooms. Sometimes it's less, it's never more than that though. Most of it is spent on reading, preparing for the class. You have to do a lot of writing and a lot of time with your teammates going over Skype, which is very helpful. Each week is different, but this past Sunday I spent 10 hours just working on an assignment. So sometimes some weeks are easier, some weeks are not. But we're getting toward the end of our second semester, so everything is coming to a head. Program is not hard. It just takes a lot of work and commitment. I work full-time. I'm married. I have a 5-year-old little boy, and my wife is very supportive. So if you're with someone, you need someone to be there for you, to help you out. The times when you want to quit and you don't want to be here anymore, you need that person to be there. My wife made a deal with me that she stuck with me for this 1 year, that I owe her business afterwards, so I fully plan on starting a venture after this and giving her something. But even
will be successful.
Right. But even if it's not successful, I feel like I can take my degree and what I've learned and go up against any MBA student. And if I want to go back to the corporate world, I have no doubt that I can say I'm an MSTC student. And the things that I learned, we learn the same things. We really do. We were taught by the same professors that are in the MBA program. They're just geared toward how to create wealth, right? I want to be the guy to create the wealth. I don't want to be the guy who manages someone else's, decisions. And Dr. Cadenhead didn't mention this, but the tuition is $46,000, and I've got financial aid all the way. And from what I understand, students pay it off within 2 to 3 years is what the average payoff, I guess, from salary increases. So that's about all I had on.